Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Whiskey Sour Libations and Conversations. I'm your host, Ouch Dom, as I hit my mic. Clumsy all day. I've broken nails, like 3 nails today.
Oh,
Don't know what I was doing, and all I was doing was cleaning. I am not built for labor. I am like the video, the meme says, I am not built for labor because that's what happened. I wanted to. Oh, okay. There's our third guest. I'll let him get set up and we'll bring him in. But that little snicker that you hear is the amazing Tiffany Ram. I didn't want to mean to fully say your government
oh no, you
name.
can. It's on the website. It's published.
Okay.
It's there.
Oh, okay. I was like, I probably shouldn't do
It's okay.
that. What's up, girl? Welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm great. I love being here, so I'm glad I'm back.
Hey, yes. Yes. So happy that you are back, and we're going to have such an interesting, amazing talk today. And I'm going to bring our other guest in, Ahmed. What's up, baby? What's up?
Hi. Oh, look at you.
Ahmed, don't come in here like you're my dad, okay?
No, you know I love you. I'm
I
not your
I
dad.
love
I'm your
you.
friend.
Yes, but you came in like, look at you, like
Look
my
at you.
child.
No, you know me. I'm
I
always
know
on the
you.
sweeter side of things.
Tip, this is my amazing friend Ahmed, and we've known
Hi,
each other for
man.
some years now.
Hi, Tiff.
And he actually sparked this episode. Tiffany is very well aware about my urges and my desires as well. I think we really got into the nitty gritty. It was a boat day, and we got in
Mm-hmm.
each other's business. So
Uh-huh.
I love the freedom that Tiffany has as well as you.
Yes.
Is it okay if I share a little bit of the voice note that you sent me?
Did
If
you
we-
save them?
I didn't save them. I didn't. They're on my phone, but
Oh,
I
okay.
was just giving her an overview,
Oh, you
which was
sure can.
okay.
Yeah.
Tiffany.
Sorry.
He sent me an amazing voice note one morning where you could hear the excitement and how proud he was in his voice to experience some sexual pleasures that included pegging
Mm.
Oh, yes.
with an amazing woman.
Yes.
And he
It
went
wasn't me, but
down.
Say that again. What about my butt?
She said it wasn't. She said it wasn't me, but okay.
Oh.
And
No, it wasn't you, Tiff.
Tiffany be down with the get down, okay.
As she should.
And so I wanted to talk to you guys about sexual freedom and liberation.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
yes.
Like my
Because
favorite conversation.
yeah, see, we here, and I believe that we talk about sex. I feel like women are free and open to talk about sex because we are, the patriarchy has sexualized it. So when we talk about it, I feel like it's a great thing for us. Like, oh, great, like I'm not alone. But then I
Mm-hmm.
feel like sometimes some people are taking aback and they feel like, oh, this person is a slut. This person is this and that because they're open and honest about what they're talking about. And
Mm.
instead of understanding and embracing, they shame. So
Mm.
that's
Right.
why I want to talk about it because also I think I was telling both of y'all that the cis hetero male believes that they are very overtly like sexual creatures when they're really not because it ends at threesomes. Like, what's the sexiest, what's the kinkiest thing you've done? It's like, oh, I've had a threesome. I'm like, that's it. So I want
Shame.
us to explore on this journey. If Ahmed, if you want to kind of give us a little, the audience, a little insight about what you experienced, because I mean the happiness tip. If you hear the happiness in his he was so excited. So
Well, yes. And I think, I mean, you could send her the voice memos
Oh,
I
I'm gonna
sent
send
you.
them.
You can send
Yay.
them to
I
her.
can't wait.
Yes, make sure you have a glass of your favorite wine next to you. Because, I mean, I'm silly, as you will find out as I talk more. Um, yeah, it was amazing. It was very cool because it's something that I've always wanted to happen. I'm queer, so
Mm.
like I
Mm-hmm.
live outside of the realm of male cisgender. I'm non-binary. Like it's not a world that I live in anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
used to because but I have I got more information, and I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm realizing different things about me, and so, but I've always known that, and I've always known that. I'm like, oh man, that'd be um, that would be cool and fun and
Mm-hmm.
interesting, and I've never, the cool thing about it when it happened was this conversation about power that me and my friend
Mm-hmm.
who I did it with. And I personally have never looked at sex as a power thing. I've always looked at sex as like a thing between two people who
Mm-hmm.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've never said, oh well, if I'm like in a like a not with a woman or with a person with a penis, if I'm in that type of relationship, I'm never, I'm not looking at who's the top or who's the bottom. Or when my friends have said like, oh, Ahmed, you're the guy in that relationship and that
Mm-hmm.
person is and I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, what does that mean for me? And so I've always like pushed away on that. And um I think that helps with exploration. When you
Mm-hmm.
take away like, oh well, if I'm a cis heterosexual man going to have sex with this woman, if you take away the fact like, well, I'm here and I'm supposed to lay it down and I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to last all this time and I'm supposed to do all this stuff, you take that away and just say, hey, let's just like see where it goes. Let's have some conversations like, oh, what are some of the things that you like, or what are some things that you like? And sometimes we don't know what those things are because we've never been asked those things.
Mm-hmm.
But so you start to have conversations like that and you're open to what this other person's needs are and what their fantasies are, and you're
Mm-hmm.
open to that because it shouldn't be a one-way streak. So when you say, oh, I'm freaky and I've only had threesomes, but what you do in a threesome you can do with one person. What you do in a threesome you could do by yourself. Like you could like take a thing and go at it on your own.
Absolutely.
So but there are some things that you can't do on your own, you
Mm-hmm.
know and to feel someone else's breath and like their body and their warmth and their like
Mm-hmm.
their all of that is very, very exciting. And if you're open to allowing yourself to just like be vulnerable and in that moment with someone else, you really will heighten all of your senses and your sexual information. But it was great. It was really interesting. But that power conversation really, like, for her, it was like, wow, I understand that I get why you guys kind of get like kind of revved up, because you're like laying there on the bed just completely kind of, I'm just laying there. I'm not, and I'm ready to go. And she's just like, oh, and she had like to put on all the things, and like it was
Mm-hmm.
really, really interesting. But that was the coolest part about that conversation, this idea of power. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
went on to a long rant, sorry y'all.
Oh no, it all makes sense,
Mm.
and
Right.
and and I believe that I think what happens is I want to point out something you said, that we don't really know, we don't really talk about certain things, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I always, to be honest with you guys, I felt like the bedroom. I don't really care for the term submission. If you've seen any of the
Mm-hmm.
other episodes and what
Mm-hmm.
we talk about, because it's just such a low key, it's a degrading word. If you're into
Mm.
servitude and slavery, I'm all great for you, but I'm not.
No,
But
no.
that was
Right.
the bedroom was one of the places that I felt like I was more timid and meek, and I
Mm.
was, because I feel like we're kind of taught to kind of be that way. Let the man lead, let him take the role in the position. And so you're walking, when they're done, because they're also taught not to really pleasure women. But you're like, I'm confused as to what just happened. Like, I think there was a sensation that was happening, but I didn't really get to the climax where I was like, oh, this is what this is. And so I had to spend a lot of time with myself and really learning my body and the ins and outs and getting really confident and comfortable where I could say, hey, or not even hey, just being able to move somebody's hand somewhere or say, touch me here and be vocal while we're in the act. So it was a process, and I've always been a confident person, but just based on what I've seen and what I was told, we're not taught how to fuck. You have to learn. It's a process.
Right.
Shit.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, so two perspectives. Obviously, people haven't seen me on the show before. They don't know that, one, I identify as pansexual. So similar to you on that, I didn't know that's what it was until I learned the language. I've always been pansexual, but it wasn't until I went to like a queer conference, probably back, I would say like 2012, that I actually learned the word. And then I was like, oh, that's me. Yeah, it's got to be me. Because otherwise I had identified as bisexual since middle school. But when I learned that word, I was like, oh, that makes way more sense. That better identifies me. Fast forward, I am now also a sex and sexuality therapist. I'm a therapist for other things, but I happen to specialize in sex and sexuality. And I have pegged before, which, Dom knows. And not just the power dynamic, because I agree. I don't like the word submission in Dom unless that serves you in communicating with each other, like a specific role or, boundaries. Right. But specifically pegging puts the receiver in a vulnerable position. That's what I would say. Like when you're butt up, it's a very vulnerable position, right? The person who is like mounting you is really in the position, like you said, of power. They have more control. You can't see, or you have a specific point of view when you can see. So it does put that person in a vulnerable position. I had actually really never considered it until, again, conversations on that in regards to until you have conversations. And so one of my partners had mentioned they had previous, transgendered partners, male with female, and that, they had pegged. And I was like, well, if that's something you're into, like, I don't have a penis. So, like, how do we work around that? And it just led to a conversation of, oh, well, I guess there is strap-ons. Like, we could do that. Like, and that partner being like, what? You'd be open to that. Whereas, in a cis world, like, not everybody's having those conversations. It's not a safe place. I typically date Black men. And so needless to say, that's definitely a taboo space. So, yeah. So that partner being just like immediately more open, to like, you'd consider. And I was like, well, I've never done it, so I can't promise you I'll like it. But I always teach people, whether it's clients or just partners that I have, to communicate. And part of that communication is saying, like, I might not like it, and I reserve the right to stop or say ew at any point it's uncomfortable. And so I did initially the first time go and being like, I was a little reluctant. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I am curious to try. So, and was surprisingly very, very, very into it. For all the reasons one might be into it. So, I will say the first time I was a little overwhelmed because my partner was like ready, like came like spread eagle front, like wanted to look me in the face. And I was like, wait, that was not the position I was prepared for.
Right, because that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think when people tell me they ask us like, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put your partner on all fours? They're gonna be a spread eagle. I was like, well, I've seen some videos like where men are in the butterfly position, kind of like how we get waxed a little bit, but they're laying on their back, so they're like kind of even more relaxed and.
So listen, being face to face for someone like me, where sex can be very not intimate, like I am all about novel sex. And when you want to go through your promiscuous stage, feel free. So that face to face was a little too like, wait, what? Like, I didn't need to see all that was too much for my first time. So the first time I was like, I'm gonna need you to turn around and be butt up. Like, I just want to focus on one element. I just want to see the booty cheeks. Like, we'll incorporate this face to face intimacy later, but right now this has got to be about the physical, engagement. But after that first time, I was like, oh, okay, we in here. Like, all right. Really.
That's amazing.
Also,
It's amazing.
I mean, there's just things to consider. Like my partner, that partner would take a dildo of a size that I wouldn't even imagine to even phantom put in my parts. So that was another thing. Like I originally picked the dildo thinking like, oh, what I'm comfortable maneuvering, because I had to put on a strap on. So I'm like, okay, medium big, like we good. And my partner was like, oh, that's it. And I was like, dang, friend, like what are you used to? So it opens up a conversation though. Like I would have never thought, had we not had this conversation, that you over here being a size king and want, Godzilla, because I'm not trying to take Godzilla. But yeah, it was definitely really intriguing. I immediately realized why anyone with a penis or a phallic part is obsessed with that position. Oh, like, because like I immediately was like doing the like watch the in and out, and like getting excited about my stroke. I was like, oh
yeah, right.
The male stroke is very different than the female stroke. Like the pelvis does engage different. I was like, this is okay, I get it. So there's a little sexual empathy that happened in participating. Mm-hmm.
But it's that level of like control. Like I probably also, you probably recognize like, oh, I see why someone with the penis is like, if it's a nice, sorry to shame, I'm not here to penis shame, but be walking around like I walk with a limp because my big, like, you know what I mean? And so it's the idea, like, and it's something fun. And I think that we're all sexual creatures, right?
Yeah.
And so I really believe that there are more men that have experimented and tried things that they're not vocal about because of the stigma that comes with it and the stereotype. But I believe that there are, even more cis, hetero men or men that identify as straight that have probably had some sort of interaction than what they will speak of, just because of the stereotypes that come with it. And so it's always intriguing in even if they are straight and they've never dabbled, like that idea, the offended, like how they become offended. And I get it. We have a really, really deep, dark history when it comes to, our culture as a whole, with the slave trade and the things that the masters used to do to, Black men. And so I get it, but it's just be open. It's not, I'm not saying that you have to be gay, but at least respect people for what they believe in and what they want to do. I think that's what gets me. Is just you want to be accepted, you want to be treated fair and equal, but you're not treating your counterparts like the same way. So
the host says
I unmuted you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Because I was making noise. Yes, it needs to be so you have to respect each other when you're in a situationship or a relationship or a marriage or whatever. You have to listen to each other. And communication is different. I'm learning that. Like the way I communicate with you, Dominique, will be different probably than the way I communicate with you, Tip. Like it's just because we're learning about each other, and this is right. So when we say straight men might have straight Black men because of history, I understand that. But when
Oh, did his phone die? What happened?
No, I don't think he died. I think he just paused. Like, I think the connection did something weird.
Okay.
I don't know. But Tiff, I want to bounce it back to you. I just feel like I think what's really intriguing and dope about you is just like you're so like loud, you're confident. Like we have similarities, you know. I like her because she like she loves herself and
Thank
she's
you.
able to really like stand in who she is. She's not afraid about what she's saying or what she's gonna do. And uh so yeah, so I think that's why I really, really like engage with you and I like the stories that you tell and experience. So for our listener, maybe they didn't catch our last episode. Can you
Mhm,
explain to them super quick what pansexual means, what a pansexual is to you?
mhm. So essentially, especially for me, pansexual just means my attraction to someone is not limited based on their gender identity. So that
Okay.
means I could be attracted to someone who's cis, someone who's not cis. So it's male, female, asexual, non-binary. That bisexual doesn't explain it enough because, of course, when you say that, you're like, oh, you're not just bisexual. Like you could be attracted to anybody, and I'm like, yeah, like a transgender woman or man.
Yeah.
Like I've realized even more so than just like energy that
Hmm.
attraction for me is a whole person experience. And because I've experienced being aroused by,
Yeah.
the entire spectrum, that for me, sexuality really is fluid. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I'm with you. I believe sexuality is fluid. I think that people there are some people like that are just like vanilla, like just straight up, no shade to
Hmm.
them. That like
Right.
I just like what I like, and that's okay. And I'm not here to slander because I do know
Right.
that people are straight, but I really do
Right.
believe that sexuality is fluid. It's a spectrum. Like you can
Hmm.
try different things
Hmm.
and I'm not here to judge. And it's so interesting because someone asked me, uh, would I be open to dating somebody that probably um was that was either bisexual or experimented? And I was
As in
like,
like a male, right?
yeah, as a male,
Yeah. Yeah.
'cause and so I was, to be honest, I was like, if I were younger, I would say no.
Hmm.
But now, as an adult,
Hmm.
if it was something that they were like, oh, I had to, like how the guy had told Molly on Insecure, oh, this happened once, and it really didn't do anything for me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm gonna take your word for it and just be like, and especially if we have some
Hmm.
sort of attraction and chemistry, because we know how
Hmm.
hard that is. The world is people are terrible fucking people. So we know how hard that is, especially living in Los Angeles. We all have lived here at some point. Tiff and I still here.
Yep.
Ahmed is touring, being this great
But I'm from
conductor.
California, so I know what it's like.
Yeah, so you know how hard it is to
Hmm.
get to make friends. So when
Mm.
you meet somebody that you have
Hmm.
that connection with, you're like, okay. But
Right.
that's me though. That's me. I would be if I would say probably college. To be honest, in college, that did come across my plate, and the guy
Hmm.
was nice, and we had fun that night, like dancing. We were at a house party, and then
Hmm.
when he told me, I was just like, "Damn, like I gotta worry about your ass, like fucking bitches, because you he was fine." But then I was like, and niggas, I was like, man, that's just too much. I'm an Aquarius and I got anxiety. I am not.
Literally everything you just said is why most people can't handle that presentation.
Yeah,
Not just adding, the level of like homophobia in general. Obviously, that's not you necessarily, but most people, it's rooted in insecurity. Like you said, like, oh, now I got to worry about men and women. Whereas me, I'm like, one, I'm confident. Like
yeah.
you cheating ain't really got nothing to do with me. If you're gonna cheat on someone like me, like you just need to cheat. That's just who you
Does
are.
does cheating ever really have anything to do with some like let's say we're the on the receiving end? I'm like, I don't be doing shit. Like to
No,
even so that's what you, something that you wanted to do anyway. So regardless if I was showing up as my like I am going to show up as my true self, but that
right.
was the urge that you had anyway, and it really, it don't have nothing to do with me. It never
Right.
does. It never does.
And it really does. I mean, there's like factors like, okay, if you have marital issues or someone's really always nagging the other one or whatever, but ultimately cheating is a choice. Because there's always an alternative dialogue to, can I have other partners? And that's what I always advocate for. Everybody always asks me as like a sex and sexuality therapist, like, oh, is it like, aren't we like naturally monogamous or aren't we naturally like polygamous?
We're
I'm
not
like,
bald
actually, we're
eagles.
both. Like, what works for you? What's your human need? We're a very different kind of mammal, and actually 90% of mammals are polygamous. So only like 10% of mammals are actually mate for life, are monogamous. So if we come down to nature, like statistically speaking, we're probably more likely to be polygamous, but it's your boundaries and just communicating your boundaries. If you're a person who needs multiple partners because you love novel sex or the allure of like, different, it feels different with different people, and that's okay. Right. But to communicate that, I teach that everything should be consensual. If you need multiple partners, the other partner should know that there's other partners. So yeah, I 100% always say like cheating is really a responsibility of the person who's choosing to cheat. Now, mind you, there's a lot of reasons why someone might cheat, but you just have to own that and be accountable. But I mean, communication in sex is really key,
Yeah.
100% key, especially to good, exploratory sex. Like you said, I'm at like just having the conversations. I
Oh yeah.
you I know things about some of the closest people on our networks that no one else knows, just because they know I'm the space where you can say those things.
Right.
Ah
Right.
yes.
You know,
Yes, I am like that too.
when people find out you're a sex and sexuality therapist, they're like, so now you over here
Yeah,
in this
people.
space, like, okay.
I'm not a sex therapist or anything. Obviously, I'm a composer. I'm a musician. But people tell me so many things about themselves. They just open up to me. I open up to people pretty easily as well. But it's always very interesting that. Did you guys talk about the like homophobia of like straight men not wanting to be pegged? How that can be homophobic as well?
We didn't stay there because you were tussling, and so I wanted to bring you back into the conversation. So we segue to something else really quick, but we can
You
circle
guys
back,
are.
and here we are.
Thank you for dealing with me. I never have system issues. I'm pretty good about all this stuff. So I'm really kind of like, it's unfortunate. I'm not. I'm never really embarrassed by anything, but I'm just more so like, man, I don't want to take away from your show. That's
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
all. But yeah, so yeah, there's that little twinge of homophobia in there with that. That's where I was getting to that, and I was just like, you know, some of the stuff is just black and white. Like if you like men and you're a man, then you can say you're gay. If you like men and you like women, then you can say you're bisexual. It can be that black and white. I'm non-binary. I'm queer. I like everybody for the most part. Like there's really no one that I'll ever, unless like I'm gonna say no to someone because of like maybe I'm not into you could be a MAGA hat. Like I don't like you for your politics, or I don't like you
Right.
for the way you know what I mean. But
Exactly.
you can be anything. Like I don't really care who you are. So yeah, so with that, when you have straight men saying, "Well, I don't want to be fucked," that's gay, and I'm like, "Well, no, it's literally just an act. It's a thing that some people like happening to them. If you don't like it because you may have a low tolerance for pain, then don't do it. But if you because it does hurt, but it's fun once you get past that.
I'm
you
so
know,
glad you just said the truth. Thank
you,
you.
like it's
Okay, so
it
hold on.
literally.
Shameless. We have a plug. We a non-sponsored post for your wellness. For your wellness, I use their THC based lubricant. They also
Ooh,
have
really?
THC. Yes, they you can find them at like places like MedMen out here. They also have suppositories, CBD. I don't know if they have THC ones, but possibly. I feel like at one point they did,
Mm.
but that ease you in to that. Anal
Well,
play,
okay,
guys.
so if we want to talk about that, so there's that. There are plugs.
Plugs,
There's like just
numbing lube.
going down, numbing
Yeah.
lube, going down there. So if you, as a woman, like want to go down there and do all of that, that helps with easing all of it, fingering, all these things. These are ways you get it excited, and then yeah, you get that numbing stuff, you get that easy glide or whatever you want to get, and don't start with the gigantic thing because it's like you wouldn't have wanted an anaconda for your first time. Like you want
I
something,
might have had one.
and that was probably not the best feeling in the
I
moment.
might have had one, and I was just
And
like,
it's similar. It's a little tighter, but it's similar. And you want to go easy.
Taper is what you're saying. You want to taper.
Taper, like the head, boom. That's first night. Friday night we doing the tip. Then maybe next Friday we might go a little bit more than that. And then you gotta because it's gonna shock the system, and you're gonna go, wait a minute, and your body's gonna reject it. But if they're like, okay, that's something, I can tell you, like for me being queer, I can almost, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I felt like it's something that I had to do because I'm queer and I like sex and I'm going to have to bottom sometimes or top sometimes. Like, so for a woman, is that something that you think like, well, I have a vagina, they have a penis, I'm going to have to take it at some point. So I just kind of like work through it. Or
I'm so glad you brought that up
yeah,
because
I'm
it is a
like,
conversation that comes up a lot with gay men, male friends that I have in regards to like what's the expectation. Because I do have a few gay men, like gay male friends that don't bottom, and there's like an expectation that like that's just a DL guy thing, like they're
yeah,
top only, or like if you identify gay, you have to bottom, and I'm like, it's really not. Like one of my favorite influencers, like shares his experience about like, nope, that's just not for me. Like very clearly, I think pansexual, honestly, but more like a gay identifying. But he tells a story about, yep, one time someone tried to put it in, that's just not for me, and I've never been wanted to do it again. He's like, I'll give you head all day, but I am not gonna bottom for the life of me. It is a preference. And I think that is like the stereotypes or the expectations within the community.
yeah,
Like, oh, if you identify queer, one, there's just a huge misnomer that like queer is synonymous with promiscuous, and it's not.
yeah.
I
no.
have a client who's gay and is still 27 and a virgin, just because navigating culture and being out, like it just hasn't happened yet. So like,
sorry to cut you off. Have you ever come across a woman or someone with a vagina who's like, it's not my preference to be penetrated?
yes.
Yeah.
And so they usually end up identifying for a period of time as asexual, thinking they're not aroused, like I'm just not sexually interested, but realizing it's not that I'm not sexually interested, they're just not interested in being penetrated. And for a lot of people, you might not be clitorally stimulated. So like you're not interested in penetration. So then realizing like, oh, I'm externally stimulated. But
Right.
yeah, how do you communicate that to your partner? There's so many different sexual, stimulations and preferences. So then it's like you have to find a partner who either is okay with not penetrating you, right? Or like
Right.
alternative
Yeah.
ways to get that need met. Mm-hmm.
I think yes, them saying that, but just as I think that's something men should be thinking about. They should be thinking about that. Just because you have a penis doesn't mean you get to stick it everywhere. Some people don't want it. They
It's
don't. They just don't
and
want it.
I've come across men that identify as gay, but they feel like they are more maybe closer to asexual. Like not wanting to, like they like like I like men, but I don't necessarily like sex.
Right.
Like whether and that's being topped or being a top or a bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I've met women just how you were saying, like they're gay, they identify as being a lesbian, but they don't want to be penetrated. So I mean,
there's no straight women like that.
I have days where I just like I would just rather suck your dick and move on with my life today. But when I want it, I want it. I feel like when we go through that, it's just like, I do not feel like it, but I am going to give you this hand job, or I'm going to suck the soul out your dick and I'm going to sleep.
I don't even think you should have to do that if you don't want to do anything.
No, I like, so like,
That part.
I'm gonna be nice. Relationships are give and take, and I
That's
know,
true.
like,
That's
and
true.
I
That's
don't,
true.
and sometimes like it's part of the compromise, but sometimes like for real, like you could be totally normal and feel fine, but it's just like, yo, like I don't feel like, because you have to also think, cool, just like y'all, a booty hole can take a beating, coochies do too. So sometimes it takes a few days to recover.
She needs to rest.
You're laughing and I'm serious.
No, I just
No,
like
she needs days off.
booty hole can take a beating. I just like the rhythm of that.
Yeah.
I just like that. I'm not, because I know it can, because it's been beaten before. So I get that. But like I just like how you said it. My musical brain went off.
Yeah, it's true, but it's true. It's like, so sometimes, especially like depending on the size and what's happened, you got. I'm like, shit, like you gotta go soak in like in the tub just to like, okay.
But if you're not getting, if your male partner ain't getting fucked, they don't really understand that.
Yeah, they don't
understand.
That if it's wet, I can just get up in there. But no, it might be feeling that way, but I'm like swollen.
Right.
Like you need to stop.
Exactly. So that's where anatomy is really important for people to understand.
Yeah.
Like the vagina.
Well,
they're both muscles, right? But the penis, the muscle is really a kegel. It's at the top, right? It's not like necessarily the whole, phallic piece. Whereas the vagina is, multiple muscles, and it can be swollen, it can be sore, like any muscle, it needs to recover. And whether or not lubrication's involved, you can get micro tearing. And that's what can be painful.
So interesting. Tiff, sorry to cut you off, but when I was talking about the lubricant to my friend who is gay, he was like, "Why do you need lube?" And I was just like, because you're supposed to use lube, and and I'll be honest, I don't use it every session. But I was telling him, he was like, well, your body is so naturally supposed to do it. I said, yes, but you have to also remember we're using latex condoms. So, which if it's dry and they come lubricated for the most part, but things happen when you're going in and out, like there's friction. So you have to lubricate sometimes, and you don't want to always,
especially with condoms, because friction causes them to break more. It makes them less effective. So you actually should be using more lube when you're using condoms, just to prevent, breakage.
And that's what I was explaining to him about.
Gay men, you should be using lube because you can get micro tears in, your penis, and that really is what can cause health issues down the line.
Yeah.
Right. So you should definitely. I can't even imagine not lubing my. Ooh, Lord.
Oh no.
Oh, I can't even. I can't even. I can't wrap my head around booty play without lube. That just, my brain hurts just thinking about it.
But we are thinking about it, and these straight men aren't thinking about any of it. And that like, be with your partners, man. Like, sit with them, talk with them, like, joke with them about stuff that might be a little uncomfortable to talk about, but like, fucking, like, learn something about them. You'll learn something about yourself, and then you'll be even more connected with them. Like, it's not hard. You don't have to sit through like 3 hours of lecture. Like, just sit. Like, yo, every other night I'm like wrecking your soul. What can we do to, like, so that I can get some of that energy? Like, maybe I'm not into being pegged, but there could be other things. Like, because I feel like this is a one-way thing, So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dominique.
No, I was gonna say, can we stay here for a second, because even there are, like, that's why I titled my show what I did, because I didn't want to make it too feminine where men felt like that they couldn't watch and engage. And so, and I also feel like the majority of my guests a lot of times are men. That's funny. But we don't talk enough about being fulfilled sexually. Like, men get their nut off, women, you can nut, and we just go about our day. But I'm always intrigued and interested to know, Like, could I be doing more? Like, is there something that outside of that threesome shit? Like, I am so tired of that conversation. And I think, hold on, super quick. I must give out threesome energy because is that a thing? Like, because
I
I've
get
been
it all the time
approached.
too. And low key, I think they're overrated. I've
I
done them. They can be fun, but they also are a lot of work. The more people, the more holes. The more people, the more things to pleasure, be conscious of. I'm like, and if you're trying to flip and dangle me here and now, I'm trying not to kick so and so in the face or put this there. So, like, they can be fun, but at this day and age, I prefer to like play with one person at a time and like watch or be watched. You know,
yeah.
like there's gonna be multiple people. Like let's take turns, friends. Because yeah, I had a recent, not recent, but you know, like recent-ish experience where someone wasn't really familiar with the community and how to play, and just kind of invited themselves in
Oh,
and was
shit.
like, also kissing. Which side note, you have to discuss boundaries in general, and I'm already like kissing's very intimate, so you need to ask consent to be all up in my face.
Yeah.
But this person just invited themselves into the fix and just started kissing. And next thing you know, teeth is smashing against each other. I'm like, child, wait, hold on. There's like,
I,
pause.
I,
Click.
I really believe that there's levels to it, but I was just like, am I giving all? Because literally almost every man that I have dated, almost every man. Now I will say the foreign men that I dated, they never said it to me, but every almost yeah,
Every casual partner.
every casual, every relationship that I've dealt with, black men, they have all like threesomes, even, and I'm just like, and even somebody that I hadn't even seen in, and first of all, middle school, we were not doing anything like that, and we're social media friends, and I talk a lot of shit on my podcast, by the way, you guys. I do want y'all to know that, but some stuff is also entertainment purposes, so we can start the conversation, just sparking
Booty hole.
but a booty hole. And so I was like, nigga, I ain't seen you since middle school.
12.
And I don't know how you got that idea that I would do that with you. And no shade, I appreciate the compliment. It's a compliment to a certain extent. But it happens all the time. And I'm like, do niggas just out here just like running wild? Like,
I diddle that. That happens to me a lot. The request for the threesome, I've always taken it as because I'm cute and I have cute friends.
okay.
I think they think it's like a low key slide invitation into like, can I get you and your friends? And in my head, I'm always like, you don't really have me yet, so let's just get solid there. But like, wait till I'm a solid yes, and we can add these other people. But also, where was I going with that? Oh, ask for the threesomes. But in general, just assuming that like you're promiscuous, so you're interested in sex. I'm like, again, start with step one. Do I want to have sex with you? Like that part.
Because a lot of y'all are not fuckable. Y'all think y'all fuckable, but y'all really not fuckable. But that's a conversation for another day.
Also me, I don't really have a type. Like I have a specific preference that like I lean into, but like I've kind of had all the things. Like short, tall, fat, skinny, like all the personalities. So but don't let that make you think that you next. Like there is still a strategy to the
Right. I'm like,
chaos.
I have standards still.
Yeah, I think some people like misread some information they know about me. Like, so I got a shot. I'm like, no, that's not. Don't make these assumptions. Always get consent. Always be clear on what's happening.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I feel that, you know, sometimes people they just, you know, I ain't even gonna be mad at niggas for like pressing their luck. You know, and I mean, and when I say niggas, I mean men in general. Like a lot of y'all be real confident. And you know, I can respect that. I can respect that. You know, like you gotta start somewhere, but that doesn't mean it starts with me. Go
Or
somewhere
this.
else.
Has this happened to you? They assume if or when the conversation of threesome comes up, they're like, so you got somebody? there's this weird notion that because you've had a threesome in the past, that as women, do you just assume we have like this threesome list, like this
Like
go-to starter list of like,
here's my black book of bitches that I'm okay to fuck. You want to know what's really funny?
I've said yes to a few threesomes, like, yeah, I'm into it. So who you got? And they're like, well, who you got? I'm like, you're the one asking.
You're right. You asked me.
I don't got nobody. You asking me?
Yeah. No. Okay. Funny story. Super quick. I'm no longer the person. I'm no longer person with this person, by the way. But someone was interested in saying like they felt like this person. People were saying like I feel like this person is kind of like flirty with you or whatever. Like she probably. So I wasn't sure, but I was like, I identify as straight, and I've never had a threesome or anything. It's never been something that interests me in the sense of having a threesome with another woman. Like, let me say that.
Right.
I've never wanted to, if I wanted to partake, I wanted other things, elements added. So I would say, so it's funny because multiple people have told me this. So this one person is like, oh, ask so-and-so, would she have a threesome with us? So she comes back and like, I'll fuck you, but not him. And it was like, what she said? And I was like, she said she wasn't interested.
In you.
I didn't want to be a dream crusher, you know, just be like, I'm not a bitch. But yeah, you know.
Wow. So I've had threesomes. I've been in a couple orgies. But this is like it's usually all. I mean, it's always been men. I've never had a threesome with a woman.
Okay.
I've never had that element in that. So it's always been really fun. I've always, but I think it's because we all kind of like because we all kind of have the same parts. We don't really like have this power dynamic, and I'm verse. So if there was, but every time I've done it, everyone was verse. So like it was a lot of like we could all kind of go any way we wanted. And I'm a very silly person, so I'm really good at making things that seem kind of serious very light, and we have a good time, and it's always funny and it's always fun. And yeah, someone might get up and go get a drink of water and just kind of chill while the other, and it's just like we all just kind of understood that, like it was okay. Like no one was like, oh wait, there was no uncertainty with things. So it was actually really, really nice. And each time it happened, no one I've never asked anyone I've ever been with do you want to have a threesome? I think I've had the conversation about threesomes, but I wasn't like, hey, there's this person. Do you want to have a threesome with them? I've never done that. I think
they've all organically happened.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it should be because, like you said, it adds layers where it makes it it's more pressure. And one of my friends, I wanted him to join us today because he, but couldn't, because he identifies as straight, but he be in some shit. He sent me a picture with goggles. He's been on the show before. And goggles. I was like, nigga, what's happening today? What is this? So, but he was saying that he felt like the best threesomes that he has had, he felt like you tipped that they were overrated, but the best ones have always just kind of fallen into his lap. It was something that was never planned, and I will be open to it if it was something like that, where it was just kind of spur of the moment. And the one time where I felt like that's what we were trying to do, oddly, that one person, that girl would have been involved because we just all happened to be in the same city at the same time. But the guy was too drunk.
No, God,
it's trying to happen.
That it was happening, or it could have happened.
Yeah, or trying to happen.
You
And
should have had some fun with old girl. That's what you should have did.
Yeah, it was. I'm just because people, you pick up on things with certain people.
Yeah.
And so you can't be out here just fucking any and everybody, just like you shouldn't be out here eating every pussy and sucking every dick. I'm a firm believer in that. Be selective. And if people were selected, we wouldn't have viral videos about you not feeding my 3 other kids.
And then her follow-up video. And then I saw
that.
it. I said, ma'am, you are every stereotype.
I knew that was gonna get explained to me. I was seeing that, like, what the hell is this on Twitter? Oh yeah, you can't do babies like that. You gotta feed them. They hungry. They gonna remember that.
You know, here.
But it's a stereotype complaining about the stereotype that did it for me.
Yeah.
Like when you saw her response video complaining about getting dragged, I said, well, ma'am, you literally are all the stereotypes. Like, you are all the things,
I didn't see
ma'am.
the video.
For me, I'm going to say this. I feel like he wasn't wrong. Only because it's not like he had never bought all of her additional kids' food before. Now, granted, yes, her kid was the last kid. He should have been selective as well. Man,
amen.
Y'all don't want to have that conversation.
Accountability.
But you did it.
Two ways.
And shot up the club. Okay. So yes, at one point y'all were together. Y'all were living together. She had 3 kids, multiple men. I'm not judging, but whatever. But when we are no longer together, there are certain privileges that get revoked.
Right.
So he was nice enough.
Right.
To still time, every so often get her kids, the other kids' food.
Yeah.
And maybe on this particular day, he probably should have taken his kid to lunch. Sure.
Right. Taking him out.
But here we are. And I still don't feel like he was wrong. Men just have to be more selective. You got to be more selective.
Also, you may not have had it like that. Maybe I only had that was money for the one.
And I feel like that too. Like, what if that day he only had enough money to get him and his kid food? And so was his kid supposed to starve?
No.
And you're talking about food stamps, but then you lashed out, and them ain't strips. You weaved up.
Like I said, it's like the accountability goes both ways in so many ways. But that's why you said, like, take that in consideration when you laying with people, when you making Humpty Dumpty choices. Because I've had all the combinations of multiple partner play. I've had 2 men threesomes, 2 women threesomes, combinations of orgies and play parties. And that's really my tip, I would say. If you're not sure, go to an actual designated play party. There's rules. Someone, if you identify as like, this is my first time, like a newbie, there's usually someone who like walk you around, tell you the rules, introduce you to it. And there's no obligation to participate. So you can just watch and see how other people interact, see what arouses you, that kind of thing. So a lot of people who come to me and they're kind of like, well, we're not sure. I'm like, try something really introductory.
Yeah.
Right.
And more anonymous. Find like a play party in 3 cities over and go check it out, or go to a co-ed spa and see, how you feel in that space. If you're a hetero presenting couple, like try that space out. Because also sometimes you just don't know till you get in there. Like me, I have yet to have a transgender partner, but I am very aroused by transgender porn. So I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I assume in real life it's gonna be like equally exciting for me. You know what I mean? But I also am aware, like, I'm not just an objectifier. Like, I would love to also know the person that I'm participating with. You know what I mean? So at this point, I'm on a hunt. I've been on a hunt for a while now for my transgender person. But I just be letting life, see what happens.
Wow, you're on a hunt. Yeah. You're so pretty. Okay.
I mean, I
don't know everybody. A man might have somebody for you too.
I just might. Hey, you didn't confirm with me, Dominique, about my friend. Ooh. He's beautiful and such a sweet, sweet boy.
Oh, are we trying to play matchmaker right now? Is that what
I'm always playing that.
Ooh, fun time.
We talk about it later.
He gave me a proposition like you, Tiff, with one of his friends. So I was like, Because here's the thing, it's like I kind of would, if I would probably want to be like kind of like you said, like more anonymous, more low key, kind of like go a little further away. Because then I don't want him. Then next thing you know, man, y'all like to gossip, and then
as much as women,
as much more than women.
Oh yeah, they do.
So I'm
like to talk.
I ain't trying to hear a man say, yeah, so I heard your pussy do this. I'm like, I heard you did this.
But that's a specific type of person that would.
I know.
And I would never hook you up with someone that would go around talking about you in that way.
Certain stories, certain weird things have gotten back to me because of the circle. So like, even if I've dabbled in, like, I got a group of homeboys, we're like brothers, and I used to, well, except for one, because one of the ones we were intimate. But my homeboy and that I've known since I was like first grade, we hanging out, we at the beach. And this nigga's like, yeah, so I heard you got that. I was like, motherfucker. Like, I was so, and then I really couldn't really go back and say nothing. Because it's like, okay. But I really, like, because what was I going to say to the person that said something? Like, people knew we was messing around.
Because it was complimentary, too.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, are we going to be mad?
Oh, yeah, because he got the good. And I would have said it right back at your friend. He'd be like, but I want to hear it. Because he wants to hear about how good your stuff is, because he probably wants to get a taste.
Right.
I'm
so
like,
that's him letting you know that. In my head, I'm like, why are you
no, that's how I felt. But I was just like, motherfucker. Like,
but you throw him off by talking
and that's
about
how you
how
get in predicaments like me, where you've had
and then he goes,
brothers and cousins and frat brothers, and that's how you get in those predicaments. So
yeah, and then you want to know what's interesting? It's like one time I kind of got, I don't know if you've ever had, like, y'all felt like situations where you kind of felt obligated to do something just because of what was happening, like, around the scene. And so that's happened to me. And so I felt like I really didn't even have chemistry with this person. And then, but I was told that this person was coming home with me. And I was just like, he cool and all, but like, I really am not interested. But even in the act, I was just like, okay, maybe when the liquor hit my system, dog, it wasn't good. And it was just like,
that's coercion to me. That sounds like small level coercion.
I know I could say yes or no. Like, I know the difference, but it was just like, I'm a little horny, so sure.
Without some of the other elements, you probably would have said no. Yeah.
But I was just like, but then this person tries to tell someone super close to me that my box is trash, and I was like, he a motherfucking lie. I said, because it's niggas that I ain't fucked in like 7 years and they calling. So right. Lie? And I was like, and why the fuck, one, when he tell you that we're like siblings, two, like, that's just fucking weird. And why the fuck you even telling me this bullshit? Like, I don't know. To this day, like, if this person, like, they're no longer, I guess, cool anymore. But I was like, he would do stuff and like to get my attention. I'm like, bro, like, you're corny, like, and we don't have that type of chemistry. So like, why are you still, like, why are you here? And I'm like, why do you? I'm like, so yeah.
Well, the entertainment field can be very incestuous, similar to like Basketball Wives and stuff like that, right? It's just because who you have access to and who knows, who knows the culture. It happens. But that would be my thing. If ever there's a bad report, I think the people receiving the information can call BS, because no one really knows who's on my list. Like, they might have accidentally consulted with one another, but like, I'll never confirm or deny people on my list. Yeah, it's an interesting list, but I won't confirm or deny that. But if you are going around saying something bad, usually that person who knows you don't know, they know, will be like, oh, that's interesting. And then they come back and tell me. So that's the fun part. Like, I get to hear people making up stuff, or what was fun in college is the frat boys who wanted credit, but hadn't actually. I don't know what that trend is about. Lying and saying you had sex with someone you didn't. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, that is happening to me. Okay, men in general, like, and I feel like men do that as adults still. Can y'all please stop? Like, that's fucking weird. Like, there were like a couple of men that said they fucked me, and I was just like, I don't even have their phone number. Like, how did this happen? Like, where, when? And it's really it's just it's
It's
kind of
sad.
breaking to
It's
me.
pathetic. It's sad. It's this thing, this status that these.
It's
Oh, I got
interesting.
to get with the prettiest girl on campus. It's all
Yeah,
like,
no.
who cares? Like, I don't
Right.
care.
And this is
But
a
men
few
should
times
be
I'm
really
like,
aware.
who?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was a few times where I'd be like, who? Like, and not even trying to be, not even being shady, but I'm like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, where was I with that? Oh, it's just interesting to me that it happens. That whole conundrum to me is just interesting that it happens in general. It's always perplexed me. I can't, from a clinical perspective, even put a thing on it, except like, yeah, like that's their way of getting clout. But it's always just been so interesting to me. It's just been such an interesting dilemma. Oh, but I'm yours when they do, if it is a person who actually has, experienced you and they give a bad report, I think specifically men need to be aware more than anything is that, again, the vagina is a muscle and she usually don't lie. So you might have a bad experience with someone and it's not because she doesn't have a good vagina. It's probably indicative of the fact she wasn't that into you. Like me, if I'm not that into you and I'm just horny, like you getting like 60, 70% at best.
That's a big
mind you, I know my 60, 70% is still better than most people's like 90. I get it. But like, I'm not giving you the good. If you're like mediocre, I'm just doing this to do it. Like I'm bored. So, or rebounding or filling the time or whatever.
I've done the board. Like, okay.
Listen, I know that's real.
Or
like
curious. If you've ever just had curious sex, sometimes I've just had sex with people because they're interesting. I'm pretty sure it's going to be bad, but I'm like, maybe I'll surprise myself. And then I didn't. Like,
that's so very cool.
Seriously, like I think that people, like I've been that person where I'm just like, okay, I was trying to play this way, but did you really do the work to get a Meryl Streep performance? Or are you getting J-Lo performance? Or are you getting like who else? Who could be in between that? Like Ava Mendes? I don't fucking know. Like
I don't know what's happening. But
we're talking about like tears.
I know what happened. I know.
Yeah, like so there's like ABC. I'm just like
these people all seem awesome. Ava Mendes is gorgeous.
Yeah, and to be honest, like there's probably only one person that I gave a B to, like, and I probably should have gave them the Meryl Streep, but I was just like, you didn't earn it. But then things happen. But I'm just like, a lot of these niggas don't be doing the work.
See, this is why I think like communication and talking about when you with someone, like you don't, because this to me it's like if someone doesn't slightly deserve it, they don't deserve it at all. In my head, like if they don't even like, if you gotta give them, Hobo Joe instead of like J-Lo, like I don't think you should get it at all. Like I think you should just like be like, you know what, never mind, no thank you, because what, like it goes back to like that conversation equally between the people. What are the things that you're into? What do you like? And now that to me could be a casual situation. And I know that seems like a lot of energy and effort to put into someone that you might only have sex with once, but and I'll tell you right now, I don't hold sex with high regard. I don't think it's like, I think it's a thing that we all like to do. But I also feel like if I'm what I do hold in regard is my time. So like if I'm going to take time with you.
Now, child, if you get this cookie now, you've been, like, time is so much money now. If you've been gotten here in the last 2-3 years, just know.
Right, so
have y'all ever held out though? Because you might have held sex because we're told that you can't, you gotta wait. And has anybody given anybody the Joan Clayton 3-month rule?
I did 9 months at one time, but I then became engaged to that person. So,
so when it happened, how was it
for me?
Thankfully,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I mean,
whoever
it was. Because I wanted to do it with that person, so it was just like any other, like it's sex. It's something.
But did you wait a long time, man, and hold
I
out?
did. I didn't have to have this hold out. It was a pandemic.
Well, I want to know. Well, okay,
Being
so
had.
Tiff can answer because
Oh,
she held out for 9
Right.
months. You fucking and sucking on the first night. She
no,
held out.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not. Oh, you're talking about when you first meet someone.
If you've waited and then you had it. So
yes.
Thankfully, this partner, yes, I waited 9 months because I was feeling away morally and conflicted and all those things back when I identified as a devout Christian. That's a different story. But yeah, so like I was, abstinent 9 months. We dated, and honestly, it was peer pressure. Like of course, he was blue balling it often, but we had made boundaries, and he was respecting me. It was really peer pressure that even got us into having sex in the first place. Because he was supposed to leave for the Navy SEALs, and so our family was like, you can't just send your man off and then not show him what he worked like waiting for. And I was like, oh geez Louise, who knew? Who knew? But I was like, we're trying to do the right thing, whatever. So, but thankfully, then when we did, it was amazing. Thank God. Now I do have a friend who had a different experience where she was raised Jehovah's Witness, waited till marriage, was so excited, high libido, just ready, like this is what we've been waiting for. And it was not all that. And then being, very disappointed and being like, how do we figure this out? And then also coming from a culture, where we don't talk about it. It's not about pleasure, it's about reproduction. It was like, now what do I do with all these sensations? Right. So, she had to have her own awakening. Not saying this is everybody's story, but she did end up leaving that partner, leaving that faith practice, and really going through a whole like, my body, my pleasure, how do I do this in a way that's meaningful for me? And now, of course, thankfully, she's in, a marriage, loving sex, happy. But yeah, it happens. Some people wait. And then, what if you waited all that time and it's not good?
Yeah. That happened with me with a partner of mine. We waited because they wanted to. And it was a few months. And it was fine. It was beautiful. It was actually really nice. But I don't know. I things are just so. I'm not to brag, but things are very easy with me. I don't like to put any pressure on people unnecessarily. So I'm very just like, if we can wait. It's not the end of the world. Let me make you some pancakes. Like it's fine. It's not that big a deal. But that's very. I hate to do this. But I think I have to go. My mom is texting me. My aunt is in the hospital, so I have to like.
Okay, no, you're fine. We were about to wrap up anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wrap up with you really quick. Yeah.
Oh no,
or not.
Get out of here. I'll talk to Tiff.
Okay, but Tiff, it was so wonderful meeting.
Lovely to meet you. I can't wait to meet you in person someday.
Yes, I'll be in LA at some point. Like I'm from there, so I'll probably be there some point this year. So I'll let you know. Well, Monique, can you give her my information?
Yes, I sure will. Thank you so much for stopping in, my little friend, my little tussle buddy. That we gonna call you. We was tussling today.
You're the best, and thank you for having me. I would love to come back and talk more about things.
So. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, babe, and I will catch up with you.
All right, bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've done that John Clayton 3-month rule, and but I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like we were talking about time and time being wasted. I was like, why'd I do this? And I was trying to be different because, like you said, I felt something different. I was trying to play the game a little different. Dog, it was terrible, and I just was like, never. And then sometimes like the first encounter too is a little awkward. Like sometimes pressure, and so I was like, maybe it was this awkward encounter, and then it happened again, and I stopped in the middle of the act, and I was like, I don't know who or what you've been fucking, but I don't like to be fucked like this. I don't think we have sexual chemistry.
Right.
So we like cuddle, but that was it. I was just like, I'm never waiting 3 months ever again. I need to figure out if this is gonna be a great fuck or not, like ever.
Right. I had a partner that I had once that we actually met like through a threesome, and it was like so random. And then they pursued me later, and I was like, that wasn't even really supposed to happen. That's off track with what I'm doing right now with my life. Actually, kind of caught me off guard. So that's a misrepresentation of where I'm at. You know, I was like, I'm not into this casual thing right now, despite how we met, you know, all of that.
Right.
And gave the whole spiel, like, you know, sorry, I misrepresented myself. You were lovely, don't worry. But like, you know, I'm looking for a relationship. And the person was insistent, like, no, I know how we met. I don't think of you, like, you're not limited to that. Like, so they offer, they're like, well, we don't even have to have sex. Like, let's just start dating, do. And I was like, okay, that sounds cute, whatever. Like, fine. Like, I'll give you a chance. Sex off the table, cool. Child, we were 5 weeks in, and I was like, if you don't just get naked, like, now I know what I know what you're working with, and it's clear we've been dating now. We've had super dates, and by the time we got to week 5, I was like so ready. I was over it. This waiting is ridiculous. You know, I know what we here for. I know what we doing. I was so over that 5 weeks. I was like, how long are we doing this for? We should have established like a timeline.
Well, okay, so how long did y'all stay in that relationship, that dating? Did after y'all fucked around a little bit, was it over, or how long did y'all stay together?
No, it lasted 2+ years. So it
Oh,
made it the
wow.
distance. Yeah, it did.
But you know, but you touched on something that some people have a fear about. It's just like somebody trying to contact somebody after a threesome and trying to engage, because I don't know what the other party involved, what your relationship was like, but that's one of the big fears when it comes to threesome, especially when it's like a man and 2 women. Like, I feel like there's this weird unhealthy competition that might happen even in that act a little bit sometimes.
Absolutely. So in this particular situation, it was 2 men. And they were friends. So it was a mutual friend. That's how we met, through this mutual friend. Oddly enough, me and the mutual friend, I had not actually been sexual before that either. So it was just kind of like, it just happened kind of thing, again, organically or whatever. But there is that level of like male competition definitely present. So this person, I believe, like, you know, had made it known they were interested, kind of like asked permission or called dibs, or, you know, whatever men do. So that had been established outside of reaching out to me. And that's how they even got my information. Because like when I said I Cinderellaed right out of there, I Cinderellaed right out of there. The more they're like, wait, what? Goodbye. That was nice. Okay. Bye. That's not what I actually came here for. So yeah, so I think particularly if it's a couple engaging in threesome, I always encourage people to establish that boundary beforehand and let the third person know, and know between each other, because that does happen, unfortunately, a lot. Is you engage in the threesome, you find out the other partner, either one of you is communicating with the third person. And if you didn't establish that boundary beforehand, that can really cause conflict. Whereas if you say, like, it's okay to have an outside side thing with the third person, if that happens organically, or no, like explicitly, no, this is just for funsies, do not contact them afterwards, you know. And again, sometimes people don't know until it happens. So also having that conversation, like, hey, I might say it's okay now, but in 2 weeks, if my jealousy horns are popping up, like, we need to reassess this.
And
you know,
and that's about having a partner that really appreciates you and is open to, because people change their mind all the time. We talk about that even in a solo situation where it's just, you know, you and another partner, where it's like, yeah, I said I was okay with doing this, like, on the way over here, but I'm really not. And it's okay if I change my mind, and you can't take certain things from me because of that. So it's just having a partner that really, really gets it and understand, and even expressing that, like, if I'm feeling some type of way, we're gonna do a check-in, and I'm gonna tell you how I feel, and it's either you respect it and understand it and cut it off, or this just needs to be done because you're not my person. Yeah.
And that's literally my motto. I said, I try not to lie. It happens. It's part of the human experience, but I try not to lie anymore in this age. One, because memory, I'd be forgetting what I said. Like, I'll catch myself. But I try not to lie, but I reserve the right to change my mind. What I said yesterday might be very different than how I'm feeling today.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean I lied. That just means something changed.
Yeah.
You know, how you move with that person might be different than I expected. You know, the elements that are happening are different. So I reserve the right to change my mind. And it's happened. And it's not always comfortable communicating that, but to have that boundary, you know, I've had that with partners. We said we're going to be polyamorous. Then you finally communicate, you experience another person, and they're like, wait, never mind. I thought it was okay, but I'm not okay. You know? So, and be like, okay, that's fine. Let's reevaluate. Let's figure that out. So yeah, definitely, it's okay to change your mind. What background noise are you hearing? I can see it in your face through the background noise. I
have
can't
no.
hear it, but
Okay, I put my phone. I put it on mute. I just did not know, and I was just like, "What the fuck is happening in my house?" I don't know, but it's
oh
fine.
no.
It's fine.
So
But
there's like a
no,
whole activity and you don't even know what it is.
girl, I don't. Because it kind of felt like it was coming from below because I'm on the top.
Mm.
I was like, "What is that?" So whatever. But you know, it's
Hopefully it
actually
wasn't an earthquake, girl. The first time I experienced an earthquake in LA, I was like, oh, that's what that is? I was so like, oh,
my first earthquake experience was in St. Louis, actually.
what? They have
St. Louis.
earthquakes in St.
Okay,
Louis?
so here
I didn't know that.
we have a fault line, the New Madras fault line, and it's not active how the San Andreas fault line is, but it's active.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one night, and I lied. I had lied and told my mom that I was staying in Chicago overnight with my friend. I hope she knows. I don't care. We're grown now. People lied. I don't lie no more. I'm grown. But I did go to Chicago, but just for the day. But I was
Mm-hmm.
staying at my boyfriend at the time school, who his school happened to be in Illinois. This earthquake happened in the middle of the night, and when I tell you, I thought it was the fucking rapture.
Oh my goodness.
I said, "Oh my
No.
god, I'm going to hell." I
Or
lied to
like
my
instant
mom.
karma. Traumatized. I'm instantly traumatized.
No draws on, freaking out. Like,
Oh Lord, that would be like the worst. That's my worst fear actually is earthquake in the shower.
yeah.
Butt naked, vulnerable, and wet. I'm like, just don't do me like that, Jesus. Just don't do me like that. Like, let me
Yeah.
have my clothes on at least, Jesus, and not wet. Like, don't make me that vulnerable. Like, don't do
Damn,
it.
that's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. But Tiff, tell everybody where they can find you. And we definitely, of course, you know you're gonna be back.
Yay, thanks.
And
Yeah, yes.
you know, where they can find you, your services, everything. Yes.
Well, on the screen, thankfully. I mean, hopefully they can see it. I don't remember.
It is. It's
So
fine.
okay.
I'm gonna
Everywhere.
make you even bigger. Hold on. There you go.
Ew. Well, yeah, I'm on most all social media platforms. There's so many now. I don't know. I might have missed one, but all social media platforms at Tiff Talk TV, TIFFTALK TV. And basically, yeah, you can find mental health, fun social media content, my lifestyle content, what I be doing with myself. And secondarily, yes, I'm also a licensed therapist. I practice here in California. I specialize in anxiety, depression, treatment of trauma, life transitions, sex and sexuality for teens and adults. And so if you need those services or if you're interested, you can book a consultation at geminiwellness.org, geminiwellness.org.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks.
coming in. And you guys be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Don't forget, I have the candles that are available at saint-angelus.com.
They smell so good.
Yes, get some candles, y'all. And I will have a special code, because I have something that I'm working on for you guys, that might be a little blingy bling, a little do, a little thing. So I will have that in the next coming weeks. That has been confirmed, and I can't wait to share that with y'all. And that's all I got for y'all. Like, be safe, stay hydrated, take breaks from
Okay.
social media,
Mm-hmm.
fuck good, responsibly, be safe, and I'll see y'all here next week. Bye.